In the small village of Langa nestled at the base of the Rwenzori Mountains in western Uganda, a boy named Eric was born on a bright July morning. From his earliest moments, Eric found joy in the color yellow. The first thing he saw when he opened his eyes was the pale yellow sunlight filtering in through the thatched roof of his family's mud hut. His mother wrapped him in a soft yellow blanket that had been passed down through 3 generations. Outside, towering sunflowers the color of lemon drops bobbed their heads in greeting. As Eric grew from a gurgling infant into an energetic toddler, his love for yellow only intensified. He filled his pockets with golden pebbles, buttercups, and dried mango skins. On special occasions, his mother let him pick a lemon from the tree in their yard, and he would spend hours just holding it, captivated by its cheery brightness. Eric didn't have many toys, but he didn't mind. To him, the color yellow was a toy, a friend, and a never-ending delight. It was on his first day of school that Eric discovered how yellow can connect 2 souls. Overwhelmed by the noisy classroom full of unfamiliar faces, he hid behind his mother's skirt and refused to let go. But then, through his tears, a flash of color caught his eye. There, in the sea of blue and green uniforms, was a girl with sunshine ribbons cascading down her back. She turned, as if feeling his gaze, and smiled. In her hands was a single dandelion. Without thinking, Eric plucked a yellow crayon from a nearby table and held it out to her. "Yellow," he whispered, his voice trembling. The girl skipped over and traded her dandelion for the crayon. Their hands touched for the briefest of moments.
"I'm Ade."
"Yellow is my favorite too," she said brightly, before returning to her seat. From that day forward, Eric and Ada were inseparable. During lessons, they passed notes on yellow scraps of paper. At recess, they wove necklaces out of yellow weeds and placed them around each other's necks. After school, they met under the big acacia tree, the one with yellow grass spread beneath it like a patchwork quilt, and dreamed about their futures. Years flew by as quick as the yellow weaver birds that flitted through the village. Eric and Ada grew taller, their limbs stretching and strengthening like the climbing vines in the lush forests of the mountains. But even as childhood faded, their friendship remained vibrant and unwavering, a golden thread that connected their hearts. On the morning of his 13th birthday, Eric woke at dawn to meet Ada under the acacia tree. A cool mist hung in the air and the grass was still slick with dew. When he arrived, he found Ada kneeling in the dirt, her brow creased in concentration as she etched something into the packed earth. She looked up, her eyes dancing with mischief and affection. "Happy birthday, Eric," she said, standing up and brushing off her knees. She pointed at the ground where she had carved a lopsided heart shape with their initials inside. "I wanted to give you something special, something to remember our spot by when—" Her voice trailed off and she looked down, fidgeting with the frayed hem of her sunshine yellow dress that was now a few inches too short. Eric's heart clenched. He knew that Ada's father had been raising money to send her to a boarding school in the city, insistent that she get a good education. For months, a wordless heaviness had weighed on them, the unspoken knowledge that their time together was fleeting. "I could never forget our spot, Ada. I could never forget you," Eric said softly, taking her hand. "No matter where we go or how far apart we are." Ada squeezed his hand, blinking back tears. "I wish," she started, but then shook her head. "Never mind. Just promise you'll write to me, okay? And think of me whenever you see something yellow. Remember this moment right here." "I promise," Eric vowed. Then, seized by a sudden boldness, he leaned in and kissed Ada gently on the cheek. When he pulled back, a faint blush colored her smooth umber skin. She touched her fingers to the spot where his lips had been and smiled. They stayed under the acacia tree until the sun climbed high overhead and the first bell rang in the distance. Lost in their own golden world where time was endless and yellow was the only language they needed. Just as she had said, Ada left for the city 2 weeks later. From his seat in the back of the crowded classroom, Eric watched her father's rickety truck bounce down the red dirt road, a plume of copper-colored dust rising up behind it. He caught one last glimpse of her face in the rear window, already blurred with tears, before she disappeared around the bend. True to his word, Eric wrote to Ada every week without fail. He told her about the yellow-bellied sunbirds building a nest in the bougainvillea bush behind his house, the lemon meringue pie his mother baked for Easter, the bright yellow kites the younger children flew on clear afternoons. He filled entire pages with his looping script, as if by putting the words down on paper, he could somehow send pieces of his heart to her. At first, Ada's letters arrived as steady as clockwork, filled with effusive descriptions of her new school, the friends she had made, and all the wonders of city life. She wrote about the daffodils that sprouted up in the cracks of the sidewalks after the spring rains, the turmeric and saffron spices piled high in the open-air markets, and the shimmering golden dome of the mosque she passed on her way to class each morning. Eric read and reread the letters until the paper went soft and the faint scent of her lemon verbena soap faded. But as the months turned to years, Ada's letters came less and less frequently. The stack of envelopes on Eric's bedside table, once thick as a brick, dwindled to a small, neat pile. Her words felt rushed, distracted, full of unfamiliar names and places that made Eric's head spin. She wrote of debate tournaments and student council meetings, of trips to the National Theater to see plays by people named Shakespeare and Soyinka. Eric couldn't keep up. His own life felt small and faded in comparison, like an old photograph left out in the sun. After finishing primary school, he took a job harvesting matuk in a neighboring village to help support his aging parents. His days fell into a simple, well-worn groove, waking up before dawn, working in the fields until his hands blistered, eating dinner with his family by the light of a kerosene lamp, and falling into bed too exhausted to dream. He still looked for yellow everywhere in the fringed petals of the wild marigolds that dotted the hillside, the fried sweet plantains his mother cooked for special occasions, even the Lyle's golden syrup label on the rusty tin in the village store. But instead of filling him with joy, every glimpse of the color brought a sharp ache to his chest, like an old wound that wouldn't heal. He stopped writing to Ada, stopped expecting her letters in return. He let the memories of their golden childhood fade like an old photograph curling at the edges. Until one ordinary Thursday when Eric was 28 years old, a yellow envelope arrived with his name on it. He recognized Ada's familiar script instantly and tore it open with trembling hands right there on the road, not caring about the strange looks from passers-by. A single sheet of paper fell out, filled with Ada's looping curves and flourishes. "Dear Eric, it's been a long time. Too long. I've thought of you often over the years, even if my lack of letters hasn't shown it. Life in the city moves so fast, like a whirling dervish sweeping me up in its relentless spin. But in the rare, quiet moments, my mind always returns to Langa, to the shade of the acacia tree, to you. I'm getting married in June. He's a good man, a doctor at the hospital where I work as a nurse. We met 2 years ago and he makes me laugh. I said yes to his proposal last week and I am happy, truly. But I couldn't go another day without telling you what has been in my heart since we were children weaving dandelion chains in the schoolyard. You were my first love, Eric, my truest love, the boy with the sunshine soul who taught me how to see the extraordinary beauty in ordinary yellow things. No matter where I go or what I do, you will always be a part of me, as constant and bright as the rising sun. Thank you for the gift of your friendship, your heart. You filled my life with color. I will think of you on my wedding day and hope you are well. Hope you are happy. I know you will do great things. With love, your Ada." Eric read the words over and over until his vision went blurry with tears. He clutched the letter to his chest, right above the spot where his heart beat out of rhythm. After all these years, the wound ripped open anew, raw and aching. Her words echoed in his head. You were my first love, my truest love. In that moment, Eric understood something that he had known all along. A love like he and Ada had shared was a once-in-a-lifetime gift, pure and sweet as golden honey, enduring as the mighty acacia tree that had sheltered their dreams. He did not begrudge Ada her happiness and new life. How could he? Her joy had always been what he wanted most. He just wished the sharp sting of regret didn't linger like a bitter aftertaste. 2 days later, Eric hiked up the tall hill at the edge of the village just as dawn was breaking. In his hand, he clutched a yellow envelope with a letter inside. When he reached the top, he turned to face the rising sun, letting the rich golden light wash over him. Then, he took a deep breath and opened his hands, releasing the envelope. The wind caught it instantly, spiriting it up and away until it disappeared into the bright blue sky. Eric imagined it soaring over the mountains, over the lush green plains of Uganda, all the way to Ada in her white dress and flower crown. He imagined her reading his words, a soft smile on her lips, tears in her eyes. "Dear Ada, thank you for your letter and for the honor of your love. You will never know how much it meant to me, how much you mean to me still. My mind is full of golden memories of our youth, racing paper boats down the rain-swollen creek, sucking on sweet lemongrass stalks in the drowsy afternoon heat, telling stories under the night sky until the fireflies blinked out one by one. Every moment I spent with you was a tiny miracle in an ordinary yellow wrapping. You were my first love too, Ada, my only love. I am so grateful to have experienced a love like ours, pure as sunshine, enduring as the hills. I want you to know that I am happy because you are happy. Your joy is the only gift I need. Wherever your path takes you in this life, I hope it is showered with blessings as numerous as the yellow stars above. I will love you always. Eric." With the sun now high overhead and the yellow envelope just a speck in the distance, Eric turned and walked slowly back down the hill. His heart, though heavy with an ache that was all too familiar, felt lighter somehow. He knew it would take time to heal, but he also knew he was strong enough to bear it. Ada had shown him that. From that day forward, Eric began to see yellow everywhere again, not as a reminder of what he had lost, but as a promise of the beauty and hope that still existed in the world. He saw it in the small, determined daffodil sprouting up through a crack in the hard-packed earth, reaching for the sun. He saw it in the twinkle of a paper star hanging in a classroom window. He saw it in the tentative smiles of his nieces and nephews as they presented him with their wobbly crayon drawings. Slowly, like a flower unfurling petal by petal, Eric let the color back into his life. He started teaching at the village school, planting marigolds around the perimeter and leading nature walks to show the children the vibrant wonders that existed in their own backyard. The malachite flash of a sunbird's wings, the butter-soft yellow puff of a dandelion gone to seed. He even began to write again, filling notebook after notebook with observations, memories, and stories. He wrote about the ancient acacia tree on the hilltop, how it had stood sentinel over generations of villagers, witnessing their joys and sorrows. He wrote about Ada, immortalizing the golden days of their youth in ink and paper. Years flowed by at the steady pace of the great Ruaha River. Eric's hair turned silver and lines crinkled the corners of his eyes when he smiled. But there remained about him an undimmable vitality, a zest for life that could only come from a heart that had known true love and come out the other side stronger. On his 50th birthday, Eric woke before dawn and walked the well-worn path up the tall hill one last time. He carried with him a small trowel and a cloth bag full of sunflower seeds. At the top of the hill, Eric knelt before the old acacia tree, now gnarled and heavy with time. He dug a small hole at its base and buried the bag of seeds there, his hands shaking slightly as he covered them with rich, dark earth. "For you, Ada," he whispered to the wind, "for the love we shared. Let these flowers be a living reminder of the beauty and color you brought to my life." He stayed there, eyes closed, until the sun rose fully over the mountains, bathing him in yellow light. Then he stood and walked back down the hill to the village, to the school, to the children eagerly waiting for him to unlock the door. Another day in a life stitched together with golden threads of love and memory. High on the hilltop, the sunflower seeds stirred in the dark soil. Already reaching for a light, they could not yet see tiny miracles waiting to unfold.